Hello, and thank you for clicking on this video. If you landed here, it's probably because you just watched a pretty cool Desmos hack. Now, if you haven't seen that, please click over and watch that Desmos hack. But I am not one for just showing tricks for ways that you can do things without knowing how those tricks work. Okay, so there's got to be a reason why. And this particular trick was to go onto Desmos, if you want to simplify a square root, put that in for the equation where the number is the number you want to take the square root of, and then you end up looking on the table to see where you can get the smallest y value that's an integer, and that'll give you your simplified square root. Well, here's why it works. If you think of it this way, you've got the number over x squared. Now what I'm going to do is multiply both sides by x squared. So we're going to clear the x squared out of there. And then just for sanity, I'm going to switch the order. So x squared cancels out with x squared, and you end up with the number is equal to x squared times 1. Now what we want, though, is the simplified square root. So if I go to take the square root of both sides, okay, now I've got the square root of the number. The square root of x squared is x, so that ends up being the number that's outside the square root, and the y ends up being inside the square root. So we did this one in the video where we had 50 was our number, and then eventually we were able to get 5 on the outside of the radical and 2 on the inside by looking at the table. And so that's why it works. It's why the x value on the table will give you the number outside the radical, and the y value in the table will give you the number inside the radical. But it pretty much just comes from this. So please never use a hack or a trick if you don't know why it works and you aren't sure that it's going to work all the time. And if it does work all the time, there's probably a pretty simple explanation for it, like this, for why it works. So hopefully, if you haven't checked out that other video, do that. And now you know why the Desmos trick works.